Welcome inside our CBS Sports Studios. I'm Adam Schein alongside the great Kyle Long. And Kyle, I want to get into the Chargers a little bit because I think the AFC postseason is going to be unbelievable. Like, genuinely, there are about 7, 8 teams, and one of them won't even make the playoffs, that you can create a scenario based upon matchup where you say they absolutely can play on Championship Sunday. Capable of winning a couple of games, making a run to the Super Bowl, whatever it is. I find myself guilty sometimes of forgetting about the Chargers. Like, I love Josh Allen making a run, or Denver with their defense, and Sean Payton and Bo Nix making a run, or the Texans defense, or Jacksonville is well-rounded, or what about if Lamar gets in, or if Pittsburgh's hot, or the New England Patriots, whatever it is. All the Chargers do is win. And you look at what Justin Herbert did against the Cowboys, throwing the ball brilliantly. He was on fire. Ran it in on a tush-push, which to me was a big deal because he's got that broken hand.
Oh, yeah.
They ran the ball with authority with Hampton. The defense is unbelievable. They have a fabulous winning head coach in Jim Harbaugh. Coach Minter is terrific on defense. Look, I'm guilty of always thinking about the injuries and, the left tackle, the right tackle, both out for the season. The as-is version of the Chargers, and I'm guilty, I'm raising my hand here, need to be talked about more as a great football team capable of playing in the Super Bowl.
Well, I think there's no question in my mind that their head coach and their quarterback are good enough to go do all those things we just talked about. But if I got to be honest here, the team that we saw week one, the offensive line group that was protecting Justin Herbert, the ability to throw the football around to a multitude of guys, it's not the same team. And while I think Justin Herbert's good enough to win any shootout with any quarterback, and Jim Harbaugh is experienced and he's got 11 wins in however many years, when you get to the playoffs, you're going against other horses and you're going against other monsters. And I know that Jim Harbaugh knows he's got a monster at quarterback and it's a matchup nightmare for defenses, but go to the playoffs and tell me what you're looking at when you run out of that tunnel, because they're all like that. I do think this Chargers team is going to be the top of the heap in that AFC West next year when Mahomes gets back off the training room table and gets back into the lineup for the Chiefs. That's going to be just one mountain they have to climb for the Chiefs. The other one is the Los Angeles Chargers, who will have 2 all-pro tackles, a quarterback who is wildly productive, a head coach who's a badass, a team that has a culture of violence and running the football. They may have missed their opportunity this year, Adam, but I've got my eye on this Chargers team for coming years.
So, and I'm not calling you out because I'm calling myself out too. I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing. What you just did, we glossed over this year. And for the sake of conversation, they have Houston coming up next week, which, by the way, Justin Herbert, who I love, was awful against in terms of that playoff game last year in the wild card round. So that's a huge game, and that Texans defense is phenomenal.
Styles make fights.
No doubt about that. Then they have Denver, Week 18 in Denver.
Doesn't get any easier.
So it's really as tough as it gets. So what would have to happen for you to take your eye off of next year? You want to see a split with Houston and Denver? You want to see them win both these games? You want to see them run the ball with Hampton and Vidal with authority?
If they split against the Texans and the Denver Broncos and Justin Herbert doesn't get any more banged up than he already is, I will have more faith than I do sitting here at the desk today. But what I've seen is when push comes to shove against some of these bully ball groups defensively, Justin Herbert ends up on the ground a lot. And you can't win with Superman on the floor.
You're 100% right about that. And I do think that's why when you're facing the Texans and the Broncos and those defenses, I mean, you could tell me the order, who else you want to put into the conversation. Those are 2 of the 4 best defenses in the NFL.
Just in terms of matchups. I mean,
100%.
Go watch the Philadelphia Eagles last year in the Super Bowl. The dominance with rushing 4 that the Philadelphia Eagles put on display and Vic Fangio's scheme against Patrick Mahomes, it's very similar to the freedoms that Vance Joseph has in Denver, the things that DeMeco Ryans is able to do in Houston from a scheme standpoint. And, let's not forget, they got some real ballers on the back end. So you couple these rush men, and I call them rush men, the front 4, you couple those guys with real ball hawks on the back end, it is suffocating playing offense against those groups.
So you love Justin Herbert coming out of Oregon. I love Herbert coming out of Oregon. Still love him, right? And I want to give that as a backdrop because I think this is important here, and I'm just going to speak for me for a second. He's been really good to great. He's not in that elite category in terms of being a top 4 or 5 quarterback. And some of it's been circumstance, let's be clear about that. And obviously I referenced the Houston playoff game from last year. If he can play well and or win against Houston and Denver down the stretch, that takes him and the field.
Catapult.
Absolutely. And the field of the Chargers in terms of being believable come playoff time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like watching the Bears and Packers on Saturday, where there are injuries on both sidelines to really key players. And that's the main excuse that I have for the Chargers, is that their main guys, particularly on the offensive line, have not been in the lineup. But if you're a good football team and you can find a way to win, belief is worth its weight in gold. And, you know, Chicago believes, New England believes. This team with Justin Herbert, I would argue they're going to believe until they're completely out of it, until they've been eliminated. As long as you got number 10 playing quarterback, you got a shot. But it's an uphill battle every week because of protection.
So I would make the argument in those games, Herbert better than Stroud and Herbert better than Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix has obviously had a big-time season, a couple of former
We're going, who's got the edge?
Right, little who's got the edge right there. And I also think, though, the Chargers defense, not as good as those teams, but that defense is brilliantly coached, salty, playmakers on every single level. You know, Derwin James and company might have something to say in terms of that great complementary football that you have with the Chargers.
And you know what? The thing that I like about the Chargers is when we talk about pass rushers, we're usually talking about these freaks that can get out of their stance quick, dip, you know, Von Miller types, Nick Bonito. Those guys. You watch the Chargers, it's just a bunch of square guys out there bludgeoning faces, beating up the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball. That's the part of the game that I really appreciate. Guys like Derwin James match that mantra on the back end. They play physical, but that's the Harbaugh football, right? I mean, go beat somebody up, and that's what they do every week. They may be outmatched, but that's a physical group. I just have real concerns about that offensive front.
I mean, Harbaugh against D'Amico Ryans, Harbaugh then against Sean Payton.
Oh, boy.
This is why you love sports.